Hi, I'm Dr. Elliot Adam from ElliotOracle.com. I'm also the author of the award-winning Fearless Tarot, How to Give a Positive Reading in Any Situation, which is out now from Llewellyn Books and on sale everywhere. It is time for this week's Oracle reveal. So earlier today on Instagram, I placed up a photo of 3 different animals, and I asked you to use your intuition and just ask yourself which animal's calling to you, because that animal has a message for you. And the 3 animals were the raccoon, the cat, and the deer. So if you're just joining me now, ask yourself which animal's getting caught in your head, because that animal has your message. For those of you who picked the raccoon, the card says courage, problem solving, and adventure. And raccoon has that dexterous set of hands. So this could be a time especially that you're going to be problem solving. And this week it might feel like there's a series of problems to solve, to get to work on, to fix. But this card says that you can outwit those obstacles, and that if you just take a hold of them, if you just take a grasp of them, you're going to find that they are a little easier than you thought initially. The first card for Raccoon is where it's best to place your focus this next week, and we got the Two of Cups. Two of Cups is all about partnerships that are meant to be. It's a relationship card, and a lot of times it'll come up to indicate that you don't want to be an island right now, but you do want to connect at this time. The Two of Cups is absolutely a love card, and it can indicate relationships, connection, opening your heart, or maybe a good time for romance. However, this card isn't just restricted to those sorts of relationships. So the Two of Cups can also do with partnerships of other sorts, or friendships, or connection. So this could just be a time where you really want to reach out, connect, share, and communicate. The second card is going to be advice from your inner wisdom. And we got the Seven of Cups. So 2 Cups cards today for the raccoon. Seven of Cups can indicate that you're at a crossroads and that there's this fog covering your path. You're not quite sure what path leads to what and what's covering that path. So a lot of times the Seven of Cups will just indicate that there's a bit of mystery, but this is also a card of imagination. And sometimes when we can't see the way clearly, we start to project our worst case scenario on the path or the best case scenario. And the truth doesn't really resemble either. So both of these cards are just saying that you may be a little bit more sensitive this next week. If on a scale of 1 to 5, you normally feel something at a 3, this week you're going to be feeling it at a 10. So just expect a lot more intensity emotionally, but also a really great opportunity to connect. And finally, these 2 cards could indicate that instead of going it alone or wondering in a vacuum if everything's going to be okay, this could be a time to really reach out for support, or again, to connect with the people that you care about. And the mythic archetype that will be helping you this next week is Hestia. She's the goddess of the hearth and the home. For a lot of you in the United States, you'll be celebrating the holiday. So this could just be a card of gathering, connection with family. But especially with these relationship cards right now, I just kind of feel like this is an important time to connect, and especially to connect with the home, family, your relationship partners. It's important that you really communicate what you really want to say to them, and that you also express yourself on that emotional level. The second animal that we're going to go into is the Curious Cat, and his card says independence, intuition, and balance. And whenever we're attracted to cat, it might be a time to be a little bit more independent, where it's time to withdraw or retract or focus on yourself. And also the cat is cunning and smart and clever. So this could be a time as well where you're really problem solving, or you're just kind of getting out on your own to figure something out, and not really, submerging yourself into the dramas of other people. And then finally, especially with this holiday, the cat could say that you want to remain aloof from things that are too emotionally intense at this time. You want to keep a little bit of emotional distance from that. So if something's uncomfortable, just don't engage. It's best that you just kind of, walk nonchalant away. First card for cat is where it's best to place your focus this next week. And we got the creative Page of Wands. The Page of Wands to me just screams talent. And so what this could really indicate is that this week is a really great week to work on your talents, your abilities, and also whatever it is that you're trying to grow into. The Page of Wands is one who strives, and he's also one of the most optimistic cards in the tarot. So if the Page of Wands comes up this next week for you, the cat, it can really indicate that you're starting to see the hope again, the way forward, and that you're starting to feel excited about your opportunities. The second card is going to be advice from your inner wisdom if you pick the cat. We got the Chariot card. This is a card of courage in the face of the unknown. The charioteer is always leaving the walled city behind him, and he's going out into the world. And And we can see emblazoned on his chariot here are those sphinx heads. And the sphinx is a creature of mystery in ancient Egypt. The chariot could say that you really need to have courage this next week and to go for it, to leave your comfort zone, and also to be a little bit more optimistic about whatever it is that you're creating this next week, especially with that Page of Wands card. If you're bold, victory will favor you when we see the chariot card. And finally, these cards are both extroverted. They call attention to themselves, and they're also fiercely independent. So much like that cat energy this next week, this could be a time when you're really investing in your own projects, your own life, you're detaching from the dramas of others, and you might be even leaving some of those restrictive relationships behind as you stake out into the world and choose a different course. And finally, the mythic archetype that will help the cat is Pontos. He's the god of the sea. He's also the unknowable sea, the deep sea. And what that could indicate for the cat is you may not have a guarantee right now. It is a mystery as to how things are going to go or how successful they will be. But if you approach the challenge proactively, if you're courageous, if you're strong, if you go for it, you're going to find that the unknowable becomes known and that you're in a much stronger position than if you just sort of hide, hope, wish, and wait for the unknown to just go away or freak out that something terrible is going to happen. These cards are really saying it's important that you take a chance, that you take the risk and take action, especially if something's unknown, especially if you don't know how it's going to go. It's going to be best for you if you actually do go for it. There's a lot more of a chance for success. And then finally, the delightful Deer card says clarity, adaptability, and divination. And Deer is just known for its gentleness. This could be a week where you really let the gentle approach rule, where you're really caring or kind or supportive, and where you're not fighting or struggling or arming up for battle with people, but where you're just accepting people where they're at. And you're just kind of, if you need to roll your eyes or whatever, you're not being aggressive about it. You're just like, yeah, well, that's where you're at. The first card for Deer is where it's best to place your focus. And we got the Two of Pentacles, which is always a card of flexibility and adaptability. This might be a week where you're really tested if you pick the Deer, where you really have to remain flexible and not approach tasks too rigidly. Also, the Two of Pentacles tends to show a juggler or a jester. And so this could be a time where you're taking things in stride. You're not taking things too personally. You're not getting all hurt if something doesn't go 100% according to plan or isn't perfect. Whenever the Two of Pentacles comes up, it just indicates expect the unexpected. There's going to be something unpredictable here. And that doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that it wasn't, anticipated. It wasn't exactly what you thought was going to happen. Two of Pentacles is just saying if you can be flexible and adaptable, you're going to be successful. And finally, Two of Pentacles is a card of transference of energy, where you're moving resources or energy from one part of your life and redirecting them into another that needs reinforcement at this time. The second card is advice from your inner wisdom. And we actually got the Eight of Swords. This card in this deck shows someone who's feeling afraid. He's in his house. He's looking outside. He feels like there's danger out there. The Eight of Swords can sometimes represent that fear that binds us up in knots and keeps us trapped or scared or stuck or feeling like we're, feeling victimized by whatever's happening whatever's happening out there. And what I just feel is that this is going to be a week where you really want to be flexible. You want to push through your fear. You want to make sure that you're not getting locked into an assumption that something's going to be way worse than it actually is before you've actually experienced it. So I feel like it's time to take a chance, be flexible, and lose your rigidity. And finally, with that Deer archetype, just open your heart up with gentleness, and that will see you through. And finally, the mythic archetype that will help the Deer is Psyche. She's the goddess of the spirit and the soul. And Psyche in ancient Greek, it does mean soul, but it also means breath. So this could be a week where you're really paying attention to your breathing, and you're also communing with that spirit within you. And you're also, especially with Psyche and Eros there, this is also a time of seeking support, connection, love, not going it alone. Sometimes that Eight of Swords can fool us into thinking that it's just us against the world, but Psyche could indicate that you're connected and loved and cared for, and it's time to lean into that sort of energy. And that is this week's Oracle. I do hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, you can always check me out at elliotoracle.com and buy a gift certificate with me for a reading for the holidays, or just schedule a session for yourself. Otherwise, I hope you all have a safe and happy holiday today, and do take care.